Good morning.
Let's start with a woo. I'm drinking water. That's how woo I am.
Oh, shit. I'm drinking lukewarm coffee.
I'm drinking air.
Drinking air.
There is more coffee over there. Week 15. You got your Seahawks shirt on. That's good.
No,
Playing the Niners.
that's the pistachio shirt.
Lime green. This is the shirt I got for $20 because somebody I gambled with at All Star got a bunch of them from Chinese Kid Factory.
What's his name?
Brett.
That would have been, what's his name? Sold cock rings.
No.
What? Dan?
Oh no.
It sells cock rings?
Cock rings and hawk jerseys.
Oh, shit.
But no, it's cute. I like how the blend of the color. You know, I get compliments on it when I go to games and stuff.
Who are we playing this week?
Niners.
Oh, that's right.
In San Francisco. This is the game I almost went to.
I was winning that game.
Tickets were only $30 to get into the Niners game,
Huh.
and it's only 12. It's like 11-hour drive to the stadium from here.
I wouldn't mind going to San Francisco.
And then Susan Jones offered to take me, but then I was like, I'm gonna pass on this one.
Take a train.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I haven't done that before.
I don't know either. There's a pretty gnarly freaking gnarly train trip that I've seen too. It goes up and down the West Coast. It's like $80, and it just I don't know, just see a lot of fucking shit.
Oh, like a little touristy train.
Yeah. That's pretty dope.
I took a train to St. Louis once. That was horrid. Don't ever do that.
They used to have I don't know if they do anymore. It's called the Green Tortoise. It was a hippie bus that would go down to San Francisco and you know, you just stop
Hang
certain
out.
places and drop and jump in the lake and then smoke a bunch of weed and go to the next city. And
Yeah. When I drove down to San Francisco a couple years ago with my mom, I was looking for a place to stay the night, and I should have known that the cheapest place was like $150.
Yeah.
And then I walked by this street carts, you know, that they have in San Francisco on the rails in the city, and there was a homeless man sleeping in one of those, and I was like, "Let's go, Mom." I was like, "We're sleeping in one of these bad boys." She's like, "I ain't sleeping in that." I was like, "Why not?" It looked comfy to me.
It looked comfy. Fuck it.
it's like when I was in Vietnam, I didn't know where I was going to stay, so I stayed the first 2 nights in this 5-star hotel. I figured $30 a night, no big deal. I get there and I was like, oh, you know, maybe I'll find something cheaper for $10 or something once I'm there.
Yeah.
And I did. There was a hostel right across the street, and it was filled with a bunch of young hippies and backpacks and shit like that. I was like, fuck that. I got $30 for it. I'm not staying in those hippies.
I don't know if I could do a hostel, man, with the way I fucking snore. Somebody's gonna kill me while I'm asleep.
Probably. I feel the same way because I went to a hostel on that same trip after we left San Francisco and went to Pacific Beach, and there was a famous hostel there. And I shared a room with like 6 other dudes that were drunk as fuck. I think because they were drunk, that was good because they must have slept through my snoring. But it was weird. It was definitely weird. Everyone was a foreigner too. No one's really. Yeah, they all had accents and shit.
I guess they still have the Green Tortoise.
Wow.
But it looks like it's super nice now.
It's a retro-looking website.
Go all over the
It's
place.
a pretty retro-looking website.
I don't like buses though, honestly.
Well,
This is like a fucking like a nice bus. Like you get like 80-year-old fucking retired people on there and shit. You know.
yeah.
It's not like a Greyhound where you got like fucking 22-year-old transients. You know.
I don't know. My thing is more of like lack of seatbelts.
No safety.
Yeah. You can only see so many pictures of buses getting ripped in half before you question it. Anyway.
So we're favored to win San Francisco?
Yes.
By 3?
I think 5.
Well, it'd just be
Last time I
nice
checked.
to beat. This will take us into the playoffs, right?
Essentially, yes, depending upon what happens with other teams, but we're on our playoff road because we should win this game. And then next week we play at home against the Chiefs. So even if we lose that game, we'll still be okay because our last game of the year is against the Cardinals. So as long as we beat them, which they should be all done and over with for the season, we'll be fine. Get in the playoffs, play a team like the Cowboys probably first round, maybe, and have to go to Dallas, which might be a tough game, but we beat them before. So playoff pictures near.
Oh, that's good.
But I did make a bet on the Hawk game. And I'm taking the Hawks to cover the 5-point spread, and I'm taking the over, which is at 44. So they need to win by more than 5, and the total score over 44, and I'll win.
Nice. Well, they're doing a lot better than a lot of people predicted, myself included.
Me too.
So
They went from
It's kinda
rebuild
fun
to
to see.
playoff,
yeah,
which is nice. It just goes to show that Pete Carroll is a better coach of younger athletes than he is veterans.
well, somehow they got their offensive line together to provide pass
Quickly.
protection.
Quickly.
Yeah, because he wasn't running like he still isn't running like he used to.
Well, our running game has helped with that.
Yeah.
So, as long as we stay healthy, man, we should be fine for a nice run.
Well, local news. Kind of working our way backwards. I saw in the paper this morning that they're proposing to do a Quincy Jones Memorial Park down 4th Avenue.
Is he from Washington?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
He's from Kitsap, isn't he? Kind of.
Bremerton.
Yeah.
Well, the article said something about his, he said on the Tonight Show recently that Bremerton was where he first grew up, and said something about Bremerton, whatever. But the thing is that the mayor proposed that park like a month ago online and said, "What do you think?" And he was overwhelmingly against it.
Yeah.
And people were just like, "No, we don't want to spend $5 million on a park where we just opened up that street after it had been closed for the tunnel for 3
I remember
years.
you talking about that, yeah.
Now they want to put this little park there," and everybody's like, "No." And the idea has been generated by Rice Ferguson Miller. That's a big architectural firm in town, and Rice is personally taking this on, and then they're trying to get Quincy Jones to endorse it so they can have a big celebration. They're going to make it in the shape of a Q. I mean, they already have it down pat plan, and it's like it's not. They're not even allowing comments on in the newspaper section for it. Pay a subscription.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to comment
Yeah.
on it because they turned it off, or at least I'm pretty sure they did.
And they're just like, fuck you, this is what we're doing. We have the money, we make the choices.
Yeah.
There's
they
a park less than a mile away, too.
And the downtown area is so messy with traffic at the 4 o'clock time. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just if they wouldn't have taken out that second street leaving out Washington, to build in those 10-foot sidewalks, then we wouldn't have that congestion down there.
They just need to make more parking because with all these condos coming in, you can already tell parking is even worse than it was
Yeah.
before, and it wasn't great
Yeah.
before. Instead of a park, they should build public parking
Mhm.
for people that are going downtown to get something to eat or see a movie,
Yeah.
instead of having to compete with condo owners. Because they even have their own parking in those condos typically,
Right.
Mhm.
but they still park on the street.
Yeah, I like the condos and I like the downtown development for the most part, but they got to still focus on the traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, even the lights that they have timed down there are just horrible. I mean, you just
That's the one good thing about building that park there. We'll get rid of that light next to Jimmy John's because you can just sit there for like 10 minutes and
That's
it
a
won't
fucking
turn.
long ass guy.
No,
And you
but
can't turn on it
But
either.
even the other one that is on Burwell, where the tunnel comes out. If the boat's coming out right there, you can sit at that light for
Yeah.
a good 5 minutes, and then you try to merge into the left lane to continue on Burwell, and then that light sucks.
Yeah.
And then they put in these new crosswalk lights everywhere that people are still trying to figure out how to do them. It says right there on the flipping sign to stop, and then once it starts flashing, you can go. And people just sit there. It's still flashing red.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
So are people like buzzing now since Quincy Jones mentioned that? he
It's
was
a lot
trying to-
better idea
Just the
than the
city,
mayor.
just the city council's buzzing about it. I mean, it's just their way to get their stamp on what they already wanted to do. That's the way I see it. I mean, I think all sorts of stupid shit like that they should consolidate and work together instead of their little mini projects. But whatever. The other interesting thing was that hit and run suspect on Wheaton Way. They came out with information last night or today that they caught the driver. He was supposed to have an ignition interlock and he had a suspended license.
Naturally.
And a 28-year-old kid living with his mom, I think. Anyways, he was suspected. The officer called his work, and the manager said, "Oh, is this about the deer that he hit?"
What?
So then they went to the house, and I guess he was telling his roommates that he was fixing up his car for Christmas. That's why he replaced the windshield, and was working on a paid job on it and shit.
So he still goes to work. His car's all fucked up. Oh, I hit a deer.
Yeah, and now he's the cop comes with the Honda emblem that was left at the scene and the light and the light cover, and they both match the blue Honda that he was fixing up. So yeah, he's in jail with $200,000 bond.
Yeah. I didn't hear about this. Did he kill somebody?
No, the guy's in critical though. He's already had over 5 surgeries.
He's from out of town, nurse.
Yeah.
Working at Harrison part time for.
He's dude going to work.
Going to work.
Honda.
It's a beautiful day. Beautiful the mountains on this bridge of Wheaton Way.
Skadoosh! Can you imagine having to jump from this bridge? Shit!
Welcome to Bremerton.
Yeah, good.
But hopefully he'll be okay.
What else happened in the news this week?
From being a worker to a patient.
Yeah, right.
Man charged in shooting that wounded girlfriend's leg. Look at him. He looks like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There was just a girl that was just shot earlier this month from a boyfriend that was just wielding a gun that was stolen. Like, hey, look at, nothing will happen. Boom, shoots her right in the chest.
That was a rifle.
Stolen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a stolen rifle. Was that freaking the transgender fucking boy that's been beating the fuck out of girls? Did you hear about that?
Or the wrestler?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the thing about the gun thing, right? This happens all the time. I've been talking about it. When you load a clip into a gun, it loads one into the chamber automatically, so then you take out the clip. If you're a dumb shit, you think that there's no bullets in the gun.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you shoot somebody. It's how kids die every year. And you know what that is? It's a result of lack of gun education. Because instead of educating our youth on how guns work, we're just telling them, don't do it. And what do youths do? They do what you tell them not to do.
Well, there's education, there's your responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if you have a swimming pool, you should know, with kids around, you don't let them run around the pool. And if you're going to have a pool, you either put up a fucking fence or you lock the kids inside. So, you don't need to learn that kind of shit. You just need to know those kind of things.
I think a responsible thing to do is teach youth about guns.
I agree in some regard, but at the same time, the kids that are shooting each other is because the parents are irresponsible for the most part.
Yeah.
And they're leaving their guns out. So it's not about educating kids, it's about, holding people accountable for being irresponsible.
That's true.
I think that's why it's good to have a lockup law. I really wish we didn't have to have a law that says lock up your guns. If you have kids, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that you do learn in gun safety is that it's either on you or it's locked up. And I think having it next to your bed when you're sleeping is on you. I mean, I consider that on you. But leaving it in the living room is not on you.
Yeah. So there's some traction or some something going viral today. It's Kanye West making a post about how no one in the press wants to hear him talk about mental health. And Joe Rogan was you can come on and talk as long as you want. And then that tweet and reply went viral. So there's a chance that Kanye might be on Joe Rogan talking about mental health.
That would be good.
Which would be really good.
Yeah.
And here's my prediction. Okay. So you have Joe Rogan, who is no mental health expert, but I could tell that he knows his shit, especially about the human ego. He's a humble dude. He knows how to stay sharp mentally. Kanye, huge ego. Probably the biggest ego in the country next to Trump. And that's a mental health crisis in itself in our country. with people like that. So he's going to come on Joe Rogan. He's going to talk about bipolar, depression, and all this other shit. He's not even going to touch the human ego aspect of it, the psychological part of what it means to be mentally ill. Well, because he won't. I would be surprised if he admitted that he had an ego problem.
He's done that before, though.
Yeah, but not on a.
Well, the thing with Rogan is that he's going to talk with him for 2 hours. And during that time, you're going to see the whole mood swing go. I mean, that's.
I think Joe Rogan's going to call him out on some of his bullshit, the stuff that he talks about too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know, he's good about not just being in his face. You know, he wouldn't be like a CNN reporter. Well, when you said this, that's kind of thing, you know, or a Fox reporter says, "Yeah, we love you, man. This is the way it is." You know, and then you only get, you know, sound bites for like 3 minutes versus 2 hours with Rogan where. You could really have a substantial understanding of who he is and what bipolar looks like in action.
I'm really curious to see how he responds to the way Joe talks to him.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think he will.
He's been on the. I don't know if you guys have heard of Sway. He's a hip hop DJ or whatever, but he has a show on XM Radio, and Kanye was on there, and he was like talking about like all these grand ideas and stuff, and he's talking about how black people are like the new slaves and
Yeah.
And Sway starts questioning him, you know,
Uh-huh.
and he's talking about like Louis Vuitton, like all this other stuff, and like he said, "Why don't you start your own business?" You know, and out of nowhere, like Kanye just freaking just starts yelling at him and stuff, and the dude's just like,
Yeah. If Rogan catches him on any kind of contradiction,
yeah,
Kanye's not going to take it well at all.
Well, I think they, another thing that Joe might do is have a third person on there, like a psychologist, like maybe Jordan Peterson or something, as somebody that can be the clinical psychologist in the discussion.
Jordan Peterson would try to steal the show and just wouldn't stop
I don't
talking.
know. Yeah, he might.
I thought that'd be more volatile and helpful.
Yeah,
But
for
at
sure.
the same, well, I agree. He might not be the right person, but
I do agree.
somebody
Third person,
like that. And I haven't seen Joe Rogan or Jordan Peterson do his clinical work. I mean, that's what he does for a living is clinical psychology. So he works with people with mental challenges, and I mean, so he's got to have skills in that field.
Some kind of mental health professional would be
Yeah.
nice, instead of two people giving their opinions.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson would probably not be the right pick.
So Pete Davidson retweeted this tweet apparently on Instagram or some shit.
Who's that?
The guy from SNL,
I was gonna say I don't follow hockey.
the guy that made fun of that veteran.
Oh, okay.
And it said, "I really don't want to be on this earth anymore. I'm doing my best to stay here for you, but I actually don't know how much longer I can last. All I've tried to do was help people. Just remember I told you so."
Huh, that's alarming.
The comedian said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least retweeted it. That someone else said it, and then they retweeted it. So then everybody lost their shit, thinking that Davidson was going to off himself.
This has nothing to do with Kanye.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was
wondering how they're connected.
He
Mental
made
health.
fun of Kanye
Yeah.
a couple times.
I was connecting with mental health.
Oh, okay.
Because this is obviously, to post something like this
Yeah.
is saying something about one's mental health.
Yeah. I agree.
Because there's two types of people that post this: people that want attention and people that seriously need help.
I'm not, and those that overlap. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
those that don't know what they're looking for, I guess.
yeah, it's really interesting because when, I've seen plenty of people post on Facebook, this is what depression looks like, and they have pictures of them crying, or today was the worst day, you don't understand the darkness that I face all the time. It's like, okay, well, what do you want to do about it? I mean, this is, okay, I get it. But my post back to you saying hugs and wishes and love and care and
Prayers.
Anytime you want to talk, it's like, just call them. Anytime you want to talk, you just pick up the phone and call them. And if they don't answer, then do they really want the feedback or do they not?
Mm-hmm.
And then the feedback's really hard because then to be brutally honest with somebody that's having depression in particular, there's it's a very difficult thing to deal with.
Because sometimes that person has to deal with some truths that they
Yep.
might not want to deal with.
Exactly. They're stuck in a rut. So.
But I do think that people can drive themselves crazy. And I think that our younger generations coming up aren't being raised with the tools to prevent that type of thing.
I agree. I see it in the schools when, it's constantly kids aren't allowed to jump off the swing, and they're not allowed to run on the playground. We don't even have swings at our school. You know, there's
monkey bars.
Yeah, I mean, but there's just rule after rule after rule, and these kids are just not having that same interaction to be able to, you know, step and fight with a stick in the street until, you know, the street lights come on. Or, you know, we didn't have to wait till Saturday morning for cartoons. They got them anytime they want, all the time. They have the concept of that. And then social media is going to make it even worse, as they just don't know how to have conversations because they're texting each other all the time.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
I think schools are recognizing it, though. Like, you know, they're really into this social emotional stuff, but it's just so early in the stages that people are plastic about it and don't really get that you need to develop relationships, and you need to take the time to do that through conversation and discussion. We're so used to those media blitz of 30 seconds versus listening to something like Joe Rogan, where he does take the time to explain things, or other podcasts that I listen to.
And that's my, I guess, concern with the younger kids, is that we've all been in our lives, I'm sure, where we felt like we were on the verge of just losing our shit. You know, how close we were actually there to losing our shit, we don't know, but we were able to, like, corral ourselves and keep ourselves from going down that route, you know. I think these kids coming up, once they start getting into their 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're trying to put themselves out there in the world, and then they start losing their shit, they're not going to have the strength to maintain their mental health, and then it's just going to progressively get worse. And then they're going to have kids, and they're not going to know how to pass down anything, you know.
Well, we've seen it already happening, but it's interesting. Well, in other news, Mueller's going to jail. Or Cohen's going to jail. Cohen got sentenced to 3 years.
3 years. He'll do a year and a half. Martha Stewart time.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of jail he's going to go to. You might get the car launched, but I was just watching a criminal lawyer talk about it this morning, saying usually when they teach kids in college or law school that if you're the subordinate of somebody and you get 3 years, then the person in charge usually gets 3 times that.
Well, they did tie him to that payment to Stormy Daniels, and they have proof, it looks like, that he knew and acknowledged that payment was going to be made.
Yeah, and they're all saying that the intent was to influence the election.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it helped or not, that was the intent.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you tried to kill the guy, but you didn't die. That didn't mean you didn't try to kill him.
Right.
Well, he's already 2 years in. Just not re-elect him?
No, so what is going to happen is in January, the Democrats take control of the House so they can start procedures for investigations of all sorts of stuff. I think they're going to start with his tax returns, because the Republicans have said, no, nobody cares, and the Dems, when they get in, they're going to say, we want to see how much involvement you've had with the Russians financially over the last 20 years, and you're going to produce those fucking things, or we're going to subpoena them. And then the big question is, can a sitting president be indicted? Can he go to court and face criminal charges? So the answer is probably going to be no, and then they'll start the impeachment hearings. And then once he gets impeached, then they'll indict him, and then he could seriously be facing prison for life.
God, wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be crazy?
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I don't like Trump's personality and, you know, some of his policy, whatever. But just the fact that we're at this point in which this guy's up in charge, just firing everybody left and right, yelling at people, getting in spats, having Kanye West come to his, you know, office like he's their best friend, and, you know, it's just weird, man. He's just no presidential about him.
No, but I mean, even before he was president, I'd like to think that kind of life that he was living eventually will catch up to you.
Yeah.
And I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want him to survive that.
That's what one of the guys was saying that used to work for him. He says, yeah, I think it was Cohen, actually. Yeah, he said what happened was, it was in his interview on CBS or whatever. Cohen said that when he worked for him for Trump as a businessman, he would tell people what to do and they would do it. And that was it. Now he's a president, he tells people what to do, and they're like, no, that's illegal. I'm not going to break the laws for you.
Sir, that's stupid.
Yeah, I'm a U.S. general. I'm not going to jeopardize my 40-year decorated career in the military to lie for you. Fuck you. I don't need your money. So it's interesting. And that's where they're saying he's just falling apart. He's throwing tantrums and stuff.
I do think there is a media bias against him, though. I will say that.
Well, both sides. I mean, Fox is praising him like he's the greatest thing for the most part.
And I do think that there is a witch hunt. Everybody wants to see him fail, so they're going to be more eager and have less requirement for evidence
But
against him.
witch hunt means there's no evidence. Because there aren't such things as witches.
Well, it's hard to believe that he's doing so much more than any other president in the last 20 years has done. To act like all the previous presidents were legal.
I agree with some of that. For example, Obama's bombing campaign in Syria, that was totally unjustified or there's police action, military action, so they don't have to be approved by Congress.
Whoops, we just dropped it on the town where terrorist family live.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Or a suspected U.S. citizen who might be associated with the before any trial, we just go ahead and do it.
And Obama's travel ban. Obama actually was putting children in the freaking camps and shit like Trump is doing before he was doing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was doing it like that.
No. He was doing it under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with some of that. And another, God, I was listening to another podcast this morning. The guy was talking about how, Hillary was in bed with Wall Street well before. That's why she lost to Obama for the most part, in the first election.
Trump was probably the most corrupt pre-president to be president.
With financial ties and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. Because fucking Hillary was saying these speeches and they wouldn't release the transcripts of her speeches, and she was getting paid $1 million to go to Wall Street. Why won't you release those transcripts?
$5 million, I think.
Yeah, I mean, getting a shitload of money to go talk to Wall Street executives about stuff. It's like, if this isn't an insider trading deal, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I mean, something's going on if you're not going to disclose that information.
Yeah.
But she never made president, though.
Well, that's why I think that they just don't. Either side doesn't really give a shit. The Wall Street doesn't care if it's Trump or Hillary because they'll get what they want anyway.
That's true.
They'll pay off whoever.
We need a president that doesn't make over $100K a year.
Why is that?
So they can relate to a majority of who our country is and what they represent. The presidents can't relate to the majority of our country. They just want to keep them at bay, happy, give them their devices, distractions.
Well, see, I disagree in some regard. Somebody like, who's the owner of Dell Computers? Dallas Mavericks owner.
Mark Cuban?
Yeah, Mark Cuban.
I would have said Mark Ruffalo.
I mean, he seems like a pretty bright guy who's done a lot of amazing things, and he's stinking rich because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's somebody that I might trust in running a country. It's much more than somebody that makes $100,000 that runs a school district, That's a little bit different. So I think there's a skill set that comes with being rich in a lot of regards.
Intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, you oftentimes don't become a lawyer and work for a super expensive paycheck.
Yeah.
You don't get paid $1 million a year being a lawyer if you're not a top shape lawyer.
And he wasn't handed that money. He started from the bottom.
Well, Trump was inherited,
Yeah. Have you seen Trump's parents?
They're still alive?
No, they're dead.
It's like, no.
That's why I was like, it's no question
Dude,
mark.
Look it up. Trump's parents, man.
Fucking 70.
They look like fucking...
I seen a thing about them like fucking...
Looking like lizard people for real, though.
Being associated with like fucking...
Oh, they were
KKK
horrible.
or
They were
some shit
horrible.
Like this.
They were horrible. But the thing is that mafia ties, business money. But you see some color photos of them, man. You can see that their souls are just ill-ridden with like this venomous reptile that just takes everything they can from you. And then they produce this child who's probably a reincarnation of Hitler's soul inside Trump Jr.
Is that
She's kind of pretty.
is that wax?
Is that a wax?
Seems like fucking Madame Tussauds.
Yeah, he's sitting with some wax figures. Look at his dad. Look at that.
Yeah, that is pretty trippy.
Dude, look at that guy.
Oh my
Would you trust
God.
somebody like that?
Got cancer or something?
No. Well, no. I think he's just born fucked up.
Oh, I think somebody photoshopped it.
No, that's legit. I remember seeing him when I was a kid growing up, thinking, "What the fuck?"
Quote says Trump's parents look like they're secondary characters from a Tim Burton movie. All right, good description. There's not a whole bunch of pictures of him.
The only person doing Trump any kind of justice for that name is Melania.
Melania?
Melania. She should be
Melania.
president.
That's what he called her. That's got to be photoshopped.
Yeah, that's definitely Photoshop.
Well, that's not. Yeah. No, I don't know, man.
All right.
All right. So we covered mental mental health.
Yeah, they're trying to up our
Parks. We covered football.
taxes. Oh, they want to do a state income tax, or not a state income tax, a capital gains tax, which is an income tax, and it's been shot down to be illegal for decades.
Yeah.
And Jay Inslee's trying to bring it back.
Jay Inslee should just stop running for president right now.
I was listening to what's his name?
Waste of money and time.
Radio show. They're saying his proposal is offering government services every year to every man, woman, and child the amount of like $7,500.
A
So
month.
a year. So if a family of 4 will get the services worth of like $30,000. So that's how much he wants to spend for every family. It's $30,000 on stuff.
What do you think?
I don't think so. I think it's I don't know. It's going to be another reason that a lot of the people that make a lot of money in our state are going to leave the state. So, for example, all these Amazon executives that are going to get their stock portfolios taxed, when they sell their stock, they're going to say, well, fuck it, we'll go to Colorado and open Amazon there. And they already did threaten to do that several times.
Yeah, I'm
Boeing
talking
has
about
too.
the head tax and all that shit.
And then all of a sudden the politicians say, oh, let's not do this. Just like that head tax.
Just playing, guys. We need you.
Yeah.
All right, G. You guys ready for some football?
Yeah, let's go. I'm going to make some English muffins with my new toaster.
Ah, yes, new tester.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
See you next week.
Next week.